Goalkeepers, nervous strikers, they'll deliver. Crowd roars erupted, you can feel the quake. 80,000 voices.
Hello there, Nigerian football fans and football fans everywhere. In today's video, we're talking about Victor Osimhen. Yes, he's helped Galatasaray win the title, the 23rd title in their history. And in addition to the title, he helped Napoli win and also scoring those goals for Nigeria in the World Cup qualifying games against Zimbabwe and Rwanda. Amazing performance, top-class, world-class striker. Now, in today's video, there's a question I want to ask you. You watch it. The salary demands of Victor Osimhen, are they crazy? Because the last time, that Chelsea was supposedly interested in the services of Victor Osimhen, the question of his salary came up. The question of his buyout or release clause came up. There's people, a lot of pundits, a lot of fans, were all the mindset that Victor Osimhen's salary was way too much. Victor Osimhen's buyout clause of about £100 million was way too expensive for his services. Some were even saying he wasn't good enough to be going that high. For me, the question I want to ask now is does that make sense or doesn't it make sense? Essentially, is it sense or nonsense? Now, for me, in my opinion, that is absolute nonsense, absolute heap of garbage, in my opinion. Because when you look at the salaries that football players earn, and I've said it on this channel before, and I say it when I discuss with other people, I say this: football is a crazy world. The amount of salary, the wages they earn is mad, super mad. For you and I, £100,000 could do us for a week, for a year, and a bit. Whereas an average level footballer could be going home with £50,000, £60,000 a week. But for some reason, Victor Osimhen now earning 10 million euros a year is too much, it's too crazy. And in recent reports, we've seen David Ornstein coming up to say that with respect to Victor Osimhen, he's not too sure if Victor Osimhen will be interested, if Chelsea will be interested in signing Victor Osimhen, but the thing there is his salary could be an issue. What sort of talk is that? Okay, let's look at the salaries of different players. Maguire earns £9.8 million. That is Harry Maguire. Yes, the same one. The same defender that we all make jokes about. The same lower than average defender earns £9.8 million. Nobody bats an eyelid about that. Nobody makes that an issue. If people want to criticize him, they criticize his performance on the pitch. He's not good. Some people might say he is good, but lots of people will say, I don't think Harry Maguire is a very good defender. Even the staunchest of Manchester United fans will say that. Then you go to a Hurricane, 20 plus million pounds. 20 plus million pounds, yes. You go to Erling Haaland, similarly, over 20 million. You go to Lewandowski, 30 plus million. So why is it different for Victor James Osimhen? I ask myself, is it because he's Nigerian? Is it some sort of color thing? I'm trying to understand. And people say, oh, he just had one season where he scored 20 plus goals. To my mind, that is just a disingenuous statement in the first place, because yes, he scored 21 plus goals for Napoli, but he's also scored 18 plus goals. He scored 18 goals for Charleroi. So because he didn't score 2 goals while he was playing for Charleroi in one season, because he scored 18 goals, that means he's not a good striker anymore. You forget. And then he went to Lille, played in Champions League, scored all the goals he scored, because he didn't score 20 goals in the league, in Ligue 1, so he's no longer a good striker anymore. Now, does it make sense? But then, when the likes of Jack Grealish signed for £100 million, no one makes any noise about it. No one bats an eyelid. No one says anything about it. But his release clause was made an issue. Some people even made it feel like or seem that his release clause was his fault. Oh, why should he be going for £100 million? What sort of player is this? He's overrated. But you can see the likes of Tyler Diblin, a young kid that hasn't scored more than 5 goals in the Premier League possibly is being touted to go for £100 million. Liam Delap, the way they're talking about him, he ended up going for 70, £80 million. So what are we talking about? Why does the narrative always have to change, always have to shift when you're talking about Nigerian players? Not just Nigerian players. When you're talking about black players, why does it have to shift? Why don't we allow market forces to determine what the player would earn anymore? Why? Why don't we allow that? And people talk about buyout clause like um, Victor Osimhen is the first striker that or the first player in football that's had a buyout clause on his contract. Look at Barcelona. Lamine Yamal, a young kid, an actual kid, has about €1 billion as buyout clause on his contract. No one makes any argument about it. No one makes any noise about it. Is it because he's Spanish? Is it because he plays for Spain? Is it because Simon plays for Nigeria? I don't know. I want you to help me answer. No one says, "Oh, Lamine Yamal, €1 billion. How can you say that?" And then we all know when it comes to buyout clauses, release clauses, it's not a must. It's not compulsory. It is definitely not mandatory for a club, for a buying club to pay that exact amount that's in the release clause. It doesn't have to be if the release clause is £100 million, you must pay £100 million. Sometimes you can go around and negotiate and say, okay, we want to pay you £100 million. You have the release clause at £100 million, but we can offer you huge upfront payment, maybe £70 million. We can offer you 70 million, and rather than having 5 installments, we'll pay you in 2 installments. So you've always had this history of buyout clauses, teams offering sums that are close or significant enough that the selling team listens to what they have to say. You've actually had people without buyout clauses where the buying club has actually gone and paid 100 million. You've had situations where clubs have paid above the buyout clause, i.e., Enzo Fernandez when Chelsea signed him from Benfica. So why is it different when certain players are involved? And people are trying to sound like Victor Osimhen isn't a world-class striker. People are trying to make you feel like he isn't world-class, he isn't top class. You have people who call themselves Chelsea fans, and what they want to do is they want to find every way to supposedly support and root for, the blue coal clear lake ownership. So if someone comes out with a PR that Victor Osimhen, is asking for too much money, he's asking for £10 million, that's too much, they'll go, oh yeah, £10 million. How can he ask for £10 million? I've chosen to address this because it just come to the point where I have to speak about it. There are videos I've watched where people were, saying why why is he insisting on earning his 10 million euros a year salary as opposed to going, because a couple of years ago he was earning, was it 40,000 pounds a week with Lille, with Napoli, I mean, before he renewed his contract. What sort of talk is that? So if you, for instance, if you started a job as a bank manager, be just a branch bank manager, earning, let's say, 100,000 naira a month, or you're earning £100,000 a year, and then you become a senior bank manager at that bank, then you jump off to £150,000 a year, and then some other bank wants to get your services, and you say, okay, I love to work for your organization, but and I won't put too much burden on you wanting you to double my salary. What I would want is just offer me a contract that is up to the value of what I'm earning at the minute, £150,000, and then that'll be fine. And then someone says, but not too long ago you were earning £100,000 at the bank, so why can't you go back to that £100,000? Would that make sense to you? Now, because for me, I think it's come to the point where people stop becoming zombies. People stop diving into certain narratives. Because one thing I've come to realize is that mainstream media can bury a player's career with narrative. They pick and choose the players they want to bury. And a lot of content creators, they hop on that sort of trending news, or not trending report, or trend of thought, if I can say that, to heap more on that player, to try to say, oh, he's greedy, he's selfish. What does that mean? Why is it that anytime it comes to a black player, you must want to go to character issues, as opposed to the person standing on the pitch talking about the market value? Football is crazy. The amount of money in football is just mad. It's mad money. For you and I don't know what you do, but for you and for me, the money some footballers earn a week could take me on for 2 years. So I get that, but we see what other footballers earn. You shouldn't. We ignore what other footballers earn, what they make. Look at Gallagher when he was at Chelsea. When you had these contract issues about whether should he sign a new contract, should you not sign a new contract, is he leaving? A lot of people were saying, oh, Gallagher is Chelsea's best player. Give him whatever he wants to earn, whatever he demands, whatever he asks for. Sign him up, or pay whatever salary he wants to earn. But the same people with the same lips, with the same mouth, and apparently the same brain want a top-class player who has achieved 10 times more than Gallagher has achieved in his career to go back to his wages of 5, 6, 7 years ago. For me, that's one of the reasons I chose to be on to have the channel, to talk about football I love so much, a sport I love so much, talk about Nigerian football, but highlighting that other people will not. Maybe because it's not trending, it's not the sexy sort of thing people want to hear. And maybe people look at, oh, players from Nigeria, players from Africa, oh, what are they? We can always spin the narrative to be any way we like, to bury them. Because what can they do? They'll just follow our trend, they'll just hop on our backs. And true to form, you do have some people with a zombie mindset that unfortunately are Nigerians as well. Unfortunately, they're Nigerians as well. Oh yeah, Victor Osimhen. Oh yeah, how could, in the end, what did they look for 10 million pounds for? What? Why should he be earning 10 million pounds? That is greedy. He should reduce his earning. I said, are you out of your mind? Are you out of your mind? So the goal that Victor Osimhen scores, does it give his team, if he scores a winning goal, does it give his team 3 points, or it gives them 1.5 points? It still ranks the same, right? So why should he now have to devalue himself for the sake of a club? And then I also want to say this, because you have a lot of football fans that like to drink the Kool-Aid that their club sells. We have a wage structure, we don't want to go above that wage, preaching that sanctimonious nonsense. We want to stand, want to go, we'll still by this structure, we don't want to leave, depart from the structure. Every player must earn the same sort of wages. But one thing they forget is this: when a player becomes a big boy in quotes, when he begins to get into his zone, look at what he's earning, look at what he's achieved in football, wants to start winning, wants to start playing at the top level, he would no longer be going for £100,000. He will no longer be going for £80,000. He'll be going for top pound, top dollar. That's it. That's the nature of the beast that is called football. So you can't pick and choose and say, oh, Harry Kane, give him what he wants. Oh, Gallagher, give him what he wants. But when it comes to Victor Osimhen, oh, he's greedy. Oh, he's stingy. Oh, he should reduce what he's looking to earn. For me, it's absolute nonsense, in my opinion. Pure T nonsense, in my opinion. Nonsense with a capital N. So if you don't want to sign a player, just say you don't want to sign a player. Stop trying to attack the player's character, when he hasn't even... The funny thing with the Victor Osimhen thing is, he's just asked for what he earns at the minute. Usually, when you're signing a new player, the player would ask for his salary to be doubled at least, or tripled. So I just don't get it. But I chose to make this video, and I hope you've learned one or two things, and I hope you've enjoyed it, and I hope you like the content. But even if you disagree with what I have to say, let me know in the comment section, and I'll address it in the next video. So at this point, I've come to the end of this video, and hopefully I'll see you on yet another video. So stay well and stay blessed.